To begin with this presentation, we'll focus on childhood development through the age stages and will provide in-depth views on the various domains of development at each stage. In researching each particular domain, this presentation takes into account the following developmental theories that assists in highlighting milestones for each stage and identifies the important features of that domain. Children develop at many different rates, yet development is made up of many different factors. Theorists have long put forward many ideas as to how children develop and what determines the rate at which they develop. For instance, as stated in Andrews 2015, according to Montessori, a child is born with the genes that will determine their physical makeup no matter of any other dispositions. Another theory put forward was Erikson, in which focuses on social emotional development, places emphasis on an individual emergence of self and ability to find their own identity within the social constraints. What is of particular importance with today's modern society is Piaget and Kohlberg's theory of cognitive development, in that children are born with an inquisitive intuition and drive to discover. This has been supported by a study conducted by Jalamas et al. 2014, in which states children have been found to develop at a greater rate when they were involved in smaller classes with a more nurturing and supportive carer. With a particular focus on cognitive activities, the final theory that will be considered is Vygotsky's theory on a social cultural perspective that looks at how the child develops within the constraints of society and the culture they live in. These theories are used throughout this presentation to show how children develop and how each theory is linked based on the age stage. To begin, infancy is described as being the initial stage of development beyond the womb, from birth to 2 years of age. Infancy is described as a period of rapid growth, and while they are already ascertain reflexes, immediately from birth they begin to develop motor skills not long after. As children continue to develop, it is increasingly noticeable the development of motor skills as they begin to coordinate themselves and other objects. This stage of development for cognitive theorists is known as sensory motor and describes how an individual begins to perceive the world around them. The physical environment plays a large role in developing what they think and perceive to be true. This also relates to how children learn language, in that they learn through exposure to that particular language. Infants are highly influenced by the social world around them. Being the parents and cultural that surrounds the child, it highly influences the development of the individual, as mentioned by Vygotsky. Many behaviours within this stage are influenced by the parents, as they are most proximal social influences to the child. How a child develops can be explained through many theories, yet as explained by Wong 2015, many theories neglect to factor in the social and cultural aspects that affect development. It is within these factors that the greatest amount of diversity in children's development can occur, such as the relationship that are built between a parent and the infant, determining the amount of dependency or interaction that they are exposed to. This causes great differences in the rate of development for children. As mentioned by Arnie and Scott, 2013, a positive child development depends on the parent's ability to meet the needs of the child in a consistent and effective way. Early childhood is defined as being the age stage of 2 to 3 years and incorporates a stage of rapid cognitive development as they learn to grow within the environment and social aspects around them. During this stage of development, the individual begins to acquire gross and fine motor skills. The development of these allows the individual to manipulate objects and the environment around them with much more efficiency. As they grow, they become much more physically active as the physical growth has slowed, as the need for sleep has decreased. According to Piaget, this stage is referred to as the pre-operational and is the stage where the individual begins to represent the real world in their mind. That is, it is a stage of imaginary play and mental competition. They begin to develop thought processes mentally, and language begins to rapidly develop as they take in information from the outside world. During this stage of development, the individual is becoming much more aware of the social interactions around them, and many of the personal traits are heavily influenced by those that are closest to them. They start to take on the role of a risk taker as they feel the need to push the boundaries, to test their limits, and develop an understanding of how far their abilities can be pushed. As children grow, they are exposed to greater amounts of diversity through culture, family, and community. If the child is situated within a low socioeconomic family, this is where the outer world affects the inner world, as described by Arnie and Scott 2013, in that the environment they are exposed to, if negative, has a profound impact on the mental development of the child and in turn performance at school. A view shared by Wong 2015 and McDevitt et al. 2013 is that the unique values and beliefs of cultural groups play an important part in the development of the child, and as mentioned by Gershwar 2008, Australian early education centres are a very culturally diverse place. Middle childhood is characterised by a slow maturation of the child as they begin to become more sensitive to their surroundings and take on behaviours they have learnt from elders. This stage of physical development is much slower than others as they begin to undertake more loss than growth. That is, baby teeth, baby fat, and body structures only grow slowly. Biomotor skills are refined to include more intricate tasks, and gross motor skills begin to take on more social aspects as they begin to become more aware of those around themselves. Piaget coined this stage the concrete operational stage as the individual begins to use concrete materials around them to make more sense of the world and develop a logical reasoning. They begin to show improved memory and are able to converse in more meaningful conversation with both adults and their peers. According to McDevitt et al. 2013, this is a very sociable stage of development as the individual is becoming increasingly aware of their surroundings and the people within it. They develop greater bonds with friends and family and develop a greater understanding of success and failure, which can prove a great obstacle for many. As mentioned previously, this stage of development is highly influenced by social interactions. Therefore, the interactions with parents and family members in this stage is highly important. As noted by Arnie and Scott, 2013, there is a strong correlation between poor parental bonds leading to poor child rearing, child abuse, and neglect. Again, culture plays an important part of development as gender roles are more defined in this stage. According to Woolfolk and Margaret's 2013, the children who are isolated as a result of language barriers are denied those social experiences necessary for development. Early adolescence is characterized by rapid growth, a change due to hormonal changes in the body. This causes major changes in all domains of development and can prove to be in the most challenging stage of the development for an individual. This stage is heavily influenced by puberty, a hormonal change in the body which causes growth spurts and maturation of sex-specific characteristics. This is the stage where gender begins to show increasingly distinctness, and with this, people become increasingly conscious about themselves and their body. This stage is referred to as the formal operations stage by Piaget, in that individuals begin to use mental operations to make sense of the experiences. They are less reliant on concrete materials to make sense of a particular subject and can mentally commute the meaning to regulate their own learning. By using this mental ability, an individual is able to see beyond the literal meaning and make more sense of situations. Social aspects in this stage are ever more influenced in development as the individual begins to understand emotion and has to struggle with hormonal imbalances. Social activities are of greater importance to these individuals as they look for the gratification of those around them to steer themselves towards a more acceptable stereotype. Hormonal changes in the child's body happens at all ages, however, it is most common during this stage and plays a vital role in development, according to McDevitt et al. 2013. How the child experiences these changes can have a significant impact on their development. Again, it is the factors that deny the child's access to variations of social experiences and deny these experiences due to family issues or culture. They may be left behind and not develop certain skills to cope with those social experiences.